You're listening to Lights Camera Latino, the podcast, hosted by Angel Fabian Rivera. Remember to follow us on our social media platforms as Lights Camera Latino and Angel Fabian Rivera. Hola mi gente, welcome to Lights Camera Latino, the podcast. This is a place where we dive deep into the captivating world of entertainment with influential Latinos shaping the industry.
Hey, yo.
My name is Angel Fabian
I recognize
Rivera.
that voice. Is this the place Papo told us to show up at?
Yo, Papo.
¿Qué está pasando? Yes. Today I got my bros in here. How are you guys doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm just having the time of my life. And today we're gonna have so much fun because we're gonna talk about, what are we gonna talk about today? Do you know?
LATOONOS.
LATOONOS. Can you guys introduce yourselves, please, and say who you play in LATOONOS?
Yeah, my name is David Gray, and I play Flaco.
My name's Jose Gonzalez, and I play Hector.
Hector's coming on back from Puerto Rico?
Espera, papa.
And who's
Man.
Who's Papo?
Who's Papo? ¿Qué está pasando?
There you go.
And I play Papo LATOONOS. Oh my God, it's so fun to have all of us here, you know, to do something different because we always have meetings, right? We're always talking about what we're gonna do next. We're always talking about the writing. We're always talking about editing. We're always talking about a lot of stuff that I don't think we've actually sat down and actually talk about us, right?
Right.
And the project, you know, and you know what brings the project to life. So before we dive into it, I want to ask you both. You guys both grew up in New York, right? In the Bronx specifically.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So what Latino food, or what Puerto Rican food you cannot live without? Come on.
Yo, I'll tell you right now. Arroz con gandules.
Yes.
You know, arroz con habichuela.
Yes.
And whatever meat you want.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah,
I mean, it's all too good. You know, you can't pick one. I'd rather have a buffet.
So
Right.
And then some fucking morcilla. So every time we go back, you know, we go
Ah.
back up north, we always pick up some stuff from the Cuchi Fritos. You know, and if one of us, before, not lately we just in and out of the city, but before, one of us go in, we get pizza, we get Fritos, we bring sandwiches, you know,
White Castle.
or tortillas, so we bring it on back and we disseminate amongst the family.
Oh my God.
Just get back to business.
The best like a buffet at the house.
Yep.
A buffet at the house, you know, a little bit of everything. That's what we want. You know, Puerto Ricans, right? When we talk about Puerto Ricans, we love food, and that's something you cannot take away from us.
Right.
You can take away our
you know,
identity,
pasteles.
but you will never
Gotta
take
have some
away
pasteles
our
too.
food. Yeah, I mean pasteles, and for the people out there who don't know what pasteles are, they're not cake. It's not cake.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because some people call pasteles cake.
Yeah.
It's like the tamales, you know. I always try to
Right.
like bring people like what's the similarity to it. It's just tamales, but we do it a little bit different, you know. We don't do it spicy. I know tamales sometimes are
Right. Yeah.
they're spicy. Yeah, I mean, well maybe if you're my mom, she likes spicy food, but I don't.
Yeah, I put hot sauce in everything, casi.
You do?
As
You
I
do
got
that
older,
too?
I got
Not
hot
like
sauce.
Texas
As I got
people.
older.
Not like Texas people, but you know the I don't want to say Puerto Rican, but the
goya?
Latin one with the little green peppers, y todo eso, the clear. The clear
Oh
hot
wait,
sauce.
you're talking.
The stuff that'll kill you.
Picante.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I cannot handle
You
that
can't
shit,
be liberal
man.
with it. You gotta be
Mm-mm.
bing, 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 and that's it.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
If not, you're If not, you're gonna be fucked. So you know, I don't know. I think, well, first of all, Ed, right? Ed, your brother, who brought all
Right.
of us together. He doesn't like to talk, but we're gonna put him on the spot. I don't know how, but we're putting him on the spot. Everybody say hi to Ed. Ed is somewhere listening to us right now. Ed, thank you for putting all of us together here.
Bravo to him.
Yeah, because you guys are all brothers, right? How many of you are there?
There's 4 brothers, 1 sister, but sister ain't got nothing. to do with it.
Four brothers and 1 sister. How you know, you all you all were born in New York, right? All of you.
Right.
Wow.
The
Did
oldest
you-
and youngest
Uh-huh.
in the Bronx, and then Ed and
Mhm.
David in Manhattan.
But basically, we were living in the Bronx.
Wow.
My mother went to Manhattan to give birth to me and came right back.
It
So,
came right back.
You know,
Came right back.
That is so funny.
like, so
So
in the Bronx.
that is. I mean, did you guys ever went to Puerto Rico growing up?
In fact, yes, we did this before David got here. In fact, mom and dad went out to Sierra Bayamon, not Bayamon.
Wow.
Sierra
Bayamon.
Bayamon. And
Bayamon,
he tried
huh?
to. He found work. The only thing is, Ed, so blanquito, man, the heat and the sun got to him, bro. We had to move back.
What?
We had to move back because the heat, it was just too hot for him, man. The albino could not acclimate to the island temperature.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
crazy, man. That he couldn't handle
I
that.
did 1 year
Uh-huh.
in Puerto Rican elementary school. They feed you like rice and beans and shit, like you eating dinner at the damn house.
Yeah,
really
you
good.
you have that. You have that at lunch, yeah.
Yeah, and I failed everything except math and English because my Spanish was whack, bro. It sucked.
Whack.
That's Spanglish.
Whack.
Spanglish.
That's whack.
It was terrible, my man. But yeah, but we came right back.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. But David, did you ever went to Puerto Rico?
Yeah, I visited Puerto Rico a while back, and by the time that I visited, it was more to like, yo, let's party, let's hang
Let's
out,
party,
let's make
yeah.
it happen. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what Yeah, you want to visit family, of course. Once you go
Yeah.
to Puerto Rico, family they want to see you
Yeah.
24/7. They want to feed you. They
wanna
want to
feed you.
drink. They want to play some dominoes. But other than that, I was just like, all right, look, I'm gonna see you. I love you guys, but yo, it's, I gotta see my island, check it out. See what it's about.
You got a party.
Yep.
Do you guys still have family in Puerto Rico?
The eldest, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about. We got family that
Wow.
they got to be at least 90 plus.
Wow.
Yeah.
So everybody's out there. Every young person moved out.
Yeah.
Nobody's in
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yep.
Comerío, Bayamón, I think San
Wow.
Fajardo.
Comerío.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the campo.
That's
Living in un
crazy.
campo.
Yeah. And el monte. That's how it was, eh? And el monte.
Yeah.
That's crazy, guys. And that's, I'm always, I always ask people here, right? Like how is it, I know you guys experienced little in Puerto Rico, but how different do you guys think growing up in New York is versus growing up in Puerto Rico? Because we're like different type of Puerto Ricans, like we're different kind of Puerto Ricans here and there. So
Right.
what was the difference that you guys saw the most?
I can tell you right now, me growing up in the Bronx, I mean, look, I'm not fluent in Spanish at all. And I know it kills people, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, I grew up and, all my friends, they just spoke English growing up, all Hispanic, whether you were Dominican, Puerto Rican, Peruvian, Colombian. I mean, they all just always spoke to me in English. And the only one that my grandmother, she would always speak to me in Spanish. And when I would answer her in English, oh my God, I thought I was going to catch the chancleta. Because
Really?
It was just like, oh, habla español. And I'm like, hey, you understand English, you good? So I had to duck every so often. But, I mean, do I wish I spoke more Spanish? 100%. But,
But yeah, that was your surroundings, right? Like you can do as much as you can. And did your parents know English or did they learn there?
Oh, they were very fluent in English. I mean, and,
Really?
and that's just the way it was. I mean, but Joey, on the other hand, he speaks it, but they spoke to him in Spanish. But
My Spanish not very good. It's not
No,
very
it's not
good.
very
their
bueno.
best.
Not very bueno.
But but me and him, we got a decent age gap. We got a good 10 years.
Yeah.
So even when I was a young kid growing up, he was a late teenager, 18, 19. So technically back then you were an adult.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's interesting, because there's always this big fight, right? Like in the industry, and I wanna wrap with this and move on, but there's always this fight of like who is, what's Latino, right? Like what is Latino? You have to know Spanish or you don't have to know Spanish. It's like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's about how you feel about your culture, and that's
Right.
that's why I always like to say, like, no matter if we speak English or Spanish or whatever language, if we feel close to our heritage, if we feel close to the Latino culture, that's it, That's all it takes. And you guys, were a very important part of LATOONOS, right? And I love that you guys brought that, into it. So let's talk about a little bit about LATOONOS, because I met Ed. Okay, so I met Ed last year.
Right.
We were at a whole. It was like an event about content creation and all that stuff, right? So I remember meeting him the first night, and he was like, "Oh my God, you're an actor?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm an actor." He's like, "Man, I have this idea that I've been working out with my brothers for these last few years. Like, we've had this for years. We really want to make it happen." And I'm like, "Okay, let's talk about it," And I remember by the end of the weekend, we were talking about the idea, and we set up a meeting after that. And then, we talked about it, and then, we talked with you guys, and I was like, this is amazing, man. And he told me everything. So can you tell me, guys, because I know this comes from years.
So, yes. I mean, and we're talking about 5+ years at least. And I remembered we always talked about it, because think about it. You go to a lot of Hispanic families, we hang out deep. Everybody's out there, and then you start drinking, you start hanging out, you start having fun, and then the bochinche starts flying, and and we're all having fun, and we just you could repeat the same story 20,000 times, but it's always funny, and you always reminisce, you always start to remember, and it's just you always think about the good times, and that's what they were all great times, Some people got papaos, some people didn't. But no matter what, papa or not, it was a wonderful, great time with the family, And I know too, when Ed had called me up one day and said, "Hey, I got in contact with somebody. He likes the idea that we have. You gotta jump on a meeting." And he said, between Joy and my brother Danny, everybody was busy. And I said, "All right, I'll make time to meet Angel, and stuff like that, and try to see we can get it going." And man, when I met with you, and Ed, the meeting was good, and I was just like, wow, there was a lot of positives to it. And then I said, immediately, my son Ethan, he's part of the LATOONOS group, and I talked to him right away. I said, "Oh man," I said, "we got to get Theo Joey, we got to get Theo Danny involved, we got to get all the deals together, we got to make this happen," And and at that time he was younger, so to him it was just all laughing about the good times. Now that he's a little older, he was just like, he understood it more and said, "Yeah, let's make this happen." And I went and talked to Joey and talked to Danny. I told him, I said, "Yo, you guys please come to the meeting." I said, and don't get me wrong, he slept on the first one,
yeah.
but I just told him, I said, "Yo,
I
join the meeting, get involved." I said, "Trust me, you're gonna love it." And you were there. My man, he was half cockeyed. But after that, he was like, "Oh, shit, I like it." And that's when he got more involved. Go ahead.
Here's what happened. What really happened.
Well, what really happened? Tell us.
What happened is that Ed would come to visit every once in a while. And when he did, me and him get him spun up on what happened. And when we talking and we jibber-jabbering back and forth, we just feed off each other.
Yeah.
Right? And then it gets Ed to the point, he's like, and he just, he loves the energy, he loves the delivery of the story, and with this whole LATOONOS thing, that's what he's trying to capture. Right. And and as we go back to the 80%, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. It's got to be 80% the delivery. So that's why it's just a banter back and forth. That's why we try to keep it quick, because we're trying to embrace that conversational kitchen talk. And that's what it is, right? Everybody comiendo un cafecito, or, talking smack and just having a good time, having a good laugh. And that's it. And that's what we're trying to do with this LATOONOS.
Yeah, no, and it definitely, like what you guys are saying, like it's definitely started, it felt like, for me, coming from the outside, right? Like, I do this for a living, but you guys had this passion for it. You guys have this, like you guys felt like at home, right? Like whatever you guys, already had. And coming into this, I felt so welcome. I felt so like, oh, this is nice. This is just like, you guys are like my brothers. You know, I'm not gonna say uncles, but primo. That's good. Primo. That's a good one, primo. But you know, once I got to know you guys, I felt like you guys became like primos. You guys became family. You guys became like, this is what the community is about, and this is what the Puerto Rican community is also about. Like, in and out of the screen, I feel like we are family, even though I've never met any of you guys, only Ed, right? Like in person. But we kind of connected in a way that I felt okay, right? Yeah. Like the way that we do our meetings, you know, all the time, so comfortable. So like, you know, everybody's doing whatever they're doing. We're still there, present, talking about what we need to talk in the moment. It feels like home.
An innate feeling of, you know, as Puerto Ricans, it wasn't nothing to bring like 3 or 4 of your homeboys or homegirls to the house. Mommy's there. Mira, te hambre. You can weigh 500 pounds, papi. Flaco. You hungry? Let me feed you, right? Yeah. And I think as in modern society, I think we try so much to move forward and do our own thing that sometimes we forget the roots. And the roots is that we always keep it like family, right? Puerto Ricans are always close, you know, especially we got family that's not really actually family, but we treat them more family than the actual family we actually have.
Yep. We got family right here, Papo.
Hello, thank you.
¿Qué está pasando?
And, you know, when we all met up, and that's what it was. I mean, soon we met with you, it was an introduction of just say, hey, I'm David, you Angel, and after that, we all hit it off, you know? And, you know, that's how we do. We embrace each other, and you know, it's just nothing but respect and love.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of being Latino, being Puerto Rican. You know, we're always so warm with each other. You know, we treat each other like we know each other from a lifetime, and sometimes people don't understand that, but until they actually get to know us, and they're like, oh wait, now I get it. You know, but that's our culture. That's how we, you know, that's how we got raised in this, you know, in our culture, and it's just, and that tells you that no matter where you're born, you know, you're still gonna have that. It's in our blood. You know, you guys were born in New York. I was born in Puerto Rico, but we still feel the same. You know, we still have that connection with each other, which is like, you know, they say like, yo fuera Boricua aunque naciera en la luna, right? Because that's it. You know, we are Boricuas no matter what. We're Boricuas no matter, you know, I see a Puerto Rican in Atlanta, and I'm like, hey, you know, you're family now. I'm sorry, it's your family. Yep. We are family to each other, and I think that's what LATOONOS does, you know, like it brings that whole authenticity of who we are as a culture.
Your mind helps us to remember who we are also.
Remember
busy,
who you are,
but not busy enough to forget where you came from.
Yes, and I love that because, you know, while we started working in LATOONOS, I realized like, oh, wait, I do remember this growing up, you know? I actually remember people being like this. It doesn't exist that much anymore, right? Because yes, everybody's like, the life is different today, but there's still that thing in there that connects us. But I remember that growing up, you know? I remember just going from house to house, eating food everywhere. You know, no matter if you had lunch here, you're gonna have lunch there and there.
Yeah, you're going to Theo's house. You're going to Titi's house.
Everybody's gonna feed you.
When you make
you're going to Mama's house. You know.
Yeah, everybody's gonna feed you, and you're gonna play dominoes. You know, and you're gonna play canicas. You know, that was me. So and that's the beauty of LATOONOS. So I want you guys to explain in like a couple of words, what do you think LATOONOS is about?
I think LATOONOS is about history, reminiscing. You know, I mean, you know, if you watch it, and you know, you watch what's coming out in the future, everybody has a Hector in their family. Everybody has a Papo in their family. Everybody has a Flaco in their family, and they're gonna laugh. And if they don't have them in their family, then you are the Flaco. You are the Papo. You know, you are the Hector. You know what I mean? So, but it's all in fun, all in love, and you know, again, every time we share those stories, how many times we have a meeting and we talk, you know, and again, I don't want to throw age out there, but you know, when we start laughing, we start enjoying it, you know.
And then I wake up.
And then he wakes up, you know, but you know, it's like it's fun. It's all fun. You know what I mean? And how can you not enjoy it? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Joey, what about you?
What he said. No, but also like
That was whack.
Whack, my bad. But it's like when we first started getting serious about this, like, oh shit, we really got to do this, right? It was, at first it's like, we trying to tell a story, right? Are we trying to tell an actual arc of beginning to end? Or at first that was my mindset, but second I was like, it's just everyday life, right? It get pasa during the day. This is just a day in the life, right? And in conversation we do try to connect the dots, but eventually they do connect. But it's just a day on the block, a day of survival, a day of staying connected via family, and just interacting with the people in the neighborhood. Who are the people in your neighborhood, right? So it's while we have, like, I think anybody, not just us, but I think a lot of people, a lot of Puerto Ricans, a lot of Latinos and Latinas, not to leave them out, they have a suitcase full of stories, right? Either funny things that happened or life-changing things that happened, but oftentimes it can be delivered. Oh, I just heard a coquille. Was that you?
Yes,
It's here. I'm in Puerto Rico. I'm
I'm
in Puerto Rico, so yeah, you did.
Papa, keep it real.
So
It's real.
I think just trying to share what happened, in a more comedic way, trying to bring some stability to it, but at the same time throw some humor at it as well. It was a good time. The more we think about it, the more we good times.
Yeah. Sometimes in the 90s, I was always hanging out on the block. I was a teenager in the 90s. I mean, you probably, I don't even know if you were born yet, but, hanging out on the block, it's every day, there's always something different going on.
This is pre-cell phones, pre-internet.
It was chilling on the block with a pager, and you watching everybody walk by, you talking to whoever's out there, and, unless you got a page, you got to hit the corner phone, make a phone call, hit your connects, see what's up. If not, you come right back to the stoop, chill for the whole day. I mean, I could do an 8 to 5 on the block easy, sitting on the block, and call it a good productive day,
Yeah, no, and I was gonna say that because you guys mentioned something about the block and about Bronx and about growing up in the 90s, and that's something that I really have learned from you guys, because again, I didn't grow in the Bronx, I didn't grow in the 90s, I was being born in the 90s, so I don't count that. So that it's definitely been a roller coaster for me and a learning experience for me to learn from you guys, right? And that has been like what has worked with all of us, right? Because we all bring different perspectives and different ideas and different things to the table. And I like to learn. I like to listen to you guys and just listen to your stories, right? And bring that. How can we bring that authentically, in a funny way, right? Like what you're saying, Joey, in there. And that's what LATOONOS about, LATOONOS is about history, it's about Puerto Ricans, it's about community, it's about connection, connection as well. I think we often forget, how life was, how easy, quote unquote life was, how cheap everything was. And a quarter juice, man.
Quarter juice was a quarterback.
Double the price.
Now it's $1.50.
Yeah, and if everybody is like, why are you guys making these jokes? You gotta watch the episode. We're gonna talk about that in a minute, where you can watch the episode, because all the jokes that we're bringing in here, they're all from the first episode that you gotta watch right now. But yeah, man, like that's what LATOONOS is. It's about to me, It's about connection. It's about community. It's about learning. It's about everything, I guess it's a learning experience for everybody, and the community that the 90s had, right? And Latinos had a big part of it too in New York. So I definitely love that we are making this story happen, So a question for you guys, and I know this question is only for you guys. Why it's so important to tell this story through the lens of the Bronx, especially in the Bronx, because I know that's a big part of our story. Why do you think, guys, people need to hear about the Bronx story?
It's a big influence, the neighborhoods help mold us, right? So a survivalistic instinct, a do or die kind of mentality. Avoid this block. Okay, está vendiendo algo aquí, and this block is not our block because this, when we got to the block that we always reference, it used to be almost Irish, but it was that vicious cycle of the minorities come in and it pushes the majority out, right? So then it was mostly Irish. I think we were like the second Puerto Rican family in the building.
Wow.
And then as Puerto Ricans came in, El Moreno y todo eso, and then I forgot who came in after us, but it's like
Dominicans.
And then they keep on moving, and then the Dominicans are moving out, and I think the Haitians and other.
Yeah, Yugoslavians even.
But everybody's just neighborhoods are always changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you can't tell the light here is pretty good, but when growing up, I was Blanquito Colorado, bro. So I was able to blend in both sides, and kind of save my ass from ass whoopings going up and down the block because I was like a chameleon, right? So it worked to my advantage, but it was. But hell, like when you graduated, came back, man. It just shapes you, man.
Yeah.
It shapes you, and it prepared. I think personally, it prepared me because it made me more. It made me more ready to accept shortcomings, accept some downfalls, and still dust myself off and get up.
Right.
And keep it moving.
Yeah. Wow. What about you, David?
I mean, I'm gonna say what he said, but he's right. I mean, the Bronx is where we grew up, so that's the only. Not I don't say only, but that's the story that we know. And growing up in the Bronx, like he's right. It shaped us. It molded us. It taught me to be the man I am. It helped. It made me learn. The streets made me learn. And growing up in the Bronx and at the age that I did, I mean, hell, you learn a lot growing up. And you learn quick. Like I lived. I mean, I was hitting the streets. I won't say in the streets, but hanging out at 16, watching everything, seeing everything that's going on, and and like I said, I got the age gap with my brother here, and we got a 10-year age gap, But then you see, when I was younger, I used to see him hanging out, see him doing his thing, and I remember I was young, like, yeah, I want to be that. I want to do that. I want to do what he's doing. That's where I want to be, And but I saw the way he carried himself, the way he was, and stuff like that, and that was part of a learning process as well. But and so we tell the story through the Bronx, but as we start to grow, we will tell more stories about other areas. You know what I mean? Because we're hoping that as it grows, that eventually we can start getting other situations, maybe some people involved that could tell us stories, and hopefully we may be able to tell some of their stories. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens.
And I love that you guys mentioned that, because that's your story, and that's what I love about the story. When Ed told me about it, it was like, because you guys know so much about it, and this is your story. I'm all about authentic stories, and this is your story. You guys are bringing this. I know every character is kind of inspired in someone in your family. So can you talk about that? Can you talk about the inspiration behind all the characters that we bring into life?
Oh yeah.
Well, can we talk about that?
Listen, some people feel they're gonna get hurt, but it is what it is. So
bring it in.
All right. So again, all Hispanic families. I mean, everybody's different in their family, right? And you could pick a little bit from this person, a little bit from that person, and hence create a character like Papo. But Yeah, I don't even know how to explain
Papo is the amalgamation of all the little pendejeria that happen throughout the family or throughout the neighborhood, right? So Papo is going to be carrying a lot of the load, right? And Hector and Flaco are just there to navigate the viewer to kind of help them understand why we think what's happening is ill or whack.
We'll be giving the
you know,
bochinche.
you know, because
Whack.
you know, as family, there's some unwritten rules, right, that you allow family to do and get away with. But then there's some other stuff that's bullshit. That's family. We don't do that shit. Like, you know, if I'm getting rid of something, I'm not going to try and sell it to you. You want
Yeah,
it?
no
Yes
shit.
or no? I'm not going to try and make a buck off family,
Yeah.
right? Or if you come to me and I can help you, I'll let you know. But I'm not going to try and get over on your situation at the same time while you're already down in the dirt. The family don't do that, right? And I'm not saying we know better. I mean, you know, we fucked up too, but we learn from that and move on. It's just some people don't learn from the fuck up.
Yeah, they just keep fucking up.
There you go.
Let's
And
keep
then,
fucking
you know,
up.
they
Let's
just
keep
on
fucking up.
So, and that's it. You know, I'm not used to cursing because normally we try to keep it PG, right? So it's
Are we?
weird. Like I catch myself. So
Go ahead,
That's
Hector,
funny.
you can
That's-
curse.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're doing it right now. Hey, you have permission from me.
thank you for that.
Thank you,
But you know,
Papo.
thank you, Papa. But that's funny because you know when we talk about the characters too. Like I saw all those characters in my family, you know, and I think every family, no matter the culture, is gonna have something of these characters that are so juicy, right, and are so alive, and they all bring their own energy to it. And for the people out there, we're gonna show now just a little clip of the first episode, so we can also talk about it. And we're not gonna show it all. Just gonna show like less than a minute,
Okay.
so people can see what we're talking about, and then we can talk about our characters. So I'm gonna share my screen, and we're gonna see this now. I know you guys are tired of seeing this, but
Oh,
No, please. I see it all day.
we love it. Here we are.
Yo, Papo.
¿Qué está pasando, Flaco? You waiting for someone?
Yo, B. My brother's coming home from Puerto Rico.
Oh, word. Hector is coming back to the Bronx? Woo, that's ill, man. Bueno, I'll catch up with you later. Tengo que ir para el trabajo.
Yo, what up, brother? What's up, Papa?
Hey, Flaco. Looks like you ain't Flaco no more, Papa.
Shut up. It's good to see you, viejito. Let's walk upstairs and put your bags up. Damn, I left my keys inside. Hold on.
¿Quién te está molestando? You know my choker on the TV. Watching novela.
Señora, este
Everybody can
I
relate.
got something special for you. You keep on reading my bed. Mira, I'm not gonna mess with you no more. Just come inside.
Bro, they just let you in like that?
You go to Puerto Rico and come back stupid?
And we're gonna stop it there.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my. Okay, so let's talk about the first episode and what happens, right? Like we have this first conversation of Papo and Flaco talking about Flaco's brother coming home from Puerto Rico, right? And when we see Papo going to work and he leaves, and then we see the taxi, right? And Hector arrives. The funny thing to me is that the first thing that Hector says when he sees Flaco, what is it? You're not Flaco no more.
Bro.
And we all listen. How many times you ain't seen a family member in so long? The first thing they do is joke about your weight,
Your
your
hairline.
height, your hair, whether if you got a hairline or not.
You need a haircut. What's wrong
Yeah.
with you?
You know, everything that's wrong with you, they point out.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that we have that nickname. That nickname exists, and sometimes we don't even know why you have that nickname. You
Right.
know, maybe you were Flaco when you were a baby, and that was
That's
it.
the thing, back in the day, because you know when you young, yo, you Flaco, yeah, that's
Papi, I was
what it
never
is.
Flaco.
But hey, some of us
I
were.
was always going deep.
But then,
Yeah.
then when you start getting older, Flaco's no Flaco. Now
But you still have that nickname, right? Like it's hard for people to like switch that, and that's very interesting from our culture.
Right.
You know, my dad still calls me negrito, right? And people think that they're like, you're not dark, and I'm like,
Right.
okay, maybe I'm not right now, but when I was a kid, I was darker because my
Right.
dad is dark, right? So he still calls me negrito no matter what.
That's
And
the
people
same
are
thing
like,
with me.
why is he calling you like that? It's like it's just a thing, you know. I cannot make him change
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if you know,
And
you
that's-
know, if I gotta explain to you,
They say it because they love you.
Yeah, and that's it, right? And that's the thing about nicknames in families, which is so fun, right? And then we see this interaction with Hector and Flaco, you know, which it looks like they have a good relationship. But what's funny to me too is when they go to the apartment complex, you know, and they beep the thingy,
The buzzer.
the office, the buzzer thing. And then you have the viejita just watching telenovelas.
Yep.
That's so real, man.
Yeah. Yep. You want to get in the building, you just ring any buzzer.
that was
You know, it's just like there was no security back then. You know, you ring a buzzer, it's just like, let me let them in, so they stop ringing my buzzer.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you guys ever had that experience?
Well, I was there in the building before the buzzers, before you could just walk in. You know, then when all the capos started showing up and cracks started coming on the street,
Gotcha.
all the doors started coming up and the buzzer security. Then you just started playing, you know, Russian roulette. Who's gonna let me in today?
Yeah.
But, but if you look at the buzzer, man, we got a lot of
Easter eggs,
family
Easter
up
eggs.
in there. Yeah, exactly. But like, you know, all the buzzer space that you see, it's people either that's influenced us some kind of way, music or so forth, or family. It's thrown up.
Yeah,
there.
that's a fun thing that people, you know, definitely need to see because we have Tito. I mean, we have Ant. You know, if somebody doesn't get that one,
Let's see if they get it. Let's see if they get it.
Let's see if they get it. You know, you gotta get those things. You gotta really look at that really nice thing that we all put together in there. And I remember when we talk about this, we're all like, hey, let's just, you know, who really do we want to put in here, right? And how many do we want to leave to start filling in? And that's so beautiful. That's so cool, you know, that we get to do that. So we meet Papo, Flaco, Hector, these three characters, right, who are so Boricuas and so different in each way, and they're just living their life in the Bronx, you know. And I think that's what it's all about, and I think that's the fun part of LATOONOS, right? That people will get to see them living, you know.
They're gonna be hanging out. That's what the characters are doing.
Hanging
out.
out.
Hanging out. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has a little group. You know, they got their close boys and stuff like that. They got their homies, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, everybody's hanging out on the street. You know, whether we hanging out in the building, we're hanging out at the bodega, or we hanging out at the pizza shop, or hanging out on the corner by the phone, you know, waiting for that page, you know. But it's just three people hanging out and just they're sharing their day. You know what I mean? And they're just going to talk about their day. You know,
yes.
And it's always a different day. You know, growing up in New York, trust me, it's always a different day. Something different is always happening.
And not necessarily has to be New York, you know. It could be just like, what's the plan? You could be in Puerto Rico también, but just when you get your friends and family together and you're trying to figure out what you're gonna do for the day. Back in the day, especially when you didn't have a car, didn't drive and shit like that, you know, that's where the adventure starts. That's when you see, okay, who's gonna get me in trouble today, or who's gonna keep me safe.
Right.
Exactly. So before we talk about where people can watch this, what's the favorite line of your characters? I mean, I know mine. Definitely, ¿qué está pasando? ¿Qué está pasando? ¿Qué está
Listen, you got me saying it.
pasando?
Every time we're in the meetings, as soon as I see you, ¿qué está pasando?
¿Qué está pasando? That's my favorite line from my character. What are you guys thinking?
I like that one. One that we do like, my mom says a lot is why you say. Not what you say, but why. Why you say? Why you say? But, you know, I don't think Hector really has a line yet. I think
that was
he's
whack.
more so trying to whack. Yeah, whack. Don't forget, you know, he's coming back to a Bronx he's not accustomed to. So he's got to reacclimate himself. So I think it's going to be a little bit until he gets his feet.
I love that, but I love that we're building that you know, the whole journey with Hector, you know, because like you said, he's coming back, you know, he's definitely trying to fit back into it and try to understand what has happened, you know.
Right. So like Hector's the older brother,
Yeah.
And you know,
It's-
as a firstborn, they always try to be a little bit more responsible, a little more, you know, reluctantly in charge of stuff. As the middle kid, you know, they're more amicable. They go with the flow. So now Hector's got to come back and kind of rely on this guy right here
Yeah.
to help me get back.
Get
Get
acclimated.
street smarts again. But he takes it, you know, on the chin. You know, he goes with the flow.
Yeah.
While Hector is more.
Cause I'm like, yo, what's the rush? And that's one thing I like about Flaco. Flaco was like laid back, chill. It's like, yo, take it easy, please. Tranquilo, papi, please. You know, and it's like, yo, calm down, relax. You know,
Yeah.
Hector might be on the go, but it's like, yo, papa, what you rushing for? We chilling. Everything is here. Don't worry about it. But I'm hungry. Well, that pizza shop's gonna be open tomorrow. Let's go hit the cucho fritos real quick.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't want that, then you want Jamaican? Yo, let's go to Jamaica. We good. What you want?
Hit the chinos.
You know, you want to hit the chinos? Let's go have Chinese. You know.
Have chicken fan fries.
So you know, you want to go to Kennedy Fried Chicken? Let's go hit that Kennedy Fried Chicken.
Let's go.
You know,
yeah,
and it's
fried
like,
chicken.
so in other words, it's like, yo, don't rush. We chilling. You know, we got
Exactly.
There's a lot ahead of us. We good. You know, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, even though I'm saying I just like the way my character, he's just chill, relax. You know, and let's just go with the flow. You know, Flaco loves a good time though. He loves a good time.
He does really love a good time, and that's what I love about about
And they'll
Flaco
see.
too.
They'll see Flaco loves a good time.
They'll
Yeah.
see in
More
future
what
episodes
happens.
out there. So where can people watch LATOONOS right now? You guys wanna throw it out there?
Yeah, YouTube. Type in LATOONOS and pop it up on YouTube. And you can also follow us on Instagram at LATOONOS and follow us there.
And YouTube.
And YouTube.
And
Mira, look at the
you're-
YouTube.
You're very trained. Ethan really taught you there.
Oh, yeah. He trained me well.
He trained you well, David.
He lets
I
me
love
know.
that.
Oh, and TikTok. el TikTok.
Oh, they talk.
También en
They
TikTok.
top tick.
TikTok. We're in TikTok as LATOONOS as well. Yes, and we're gonna be
But as long as that's
posting
gonna
every.
stay around, we don't know. But go to Instagram first and YouTube first.
Go Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, every place, please, and you know, let's talk about it. You know, share, watch the episode, share the episode. You know, leave us a comment, give us a like, subscribe. You know, it's all for the community.
And we'll
You
end
know,
it.
I think
Yeah. And share your story too. Tell
Yeah,
me, like, if
yeah.
you can relate to us, relate. If you could say,
Tell us, let
"Oh,
us know,
Papa,
yeah.
This is what happened to me. You know, share it with us. You know, I mean,
we
because
want to
have a
know.
lot to
You
tell.
know,
And you know, if we gotta
Yeah,
go to
we-
Brooklyn one day or go to Queens.
yes, yeah,
go
we
to
have a
African
lot
City,
of
you know, we got
stories.
hands to tell a story. Let's do it.
Yeah,
You know?
we have a
We'll
lot of
even-
stories to
we'll
tell
even
out
go to
there.
Mount Vernon and Yonkers if we got to. You know.
But yeah, but that's the
I
reality
think
of it. You know.
if, I was talking to Ed.
Mhm.
Well, I was talking to Ed about this, right? So like, what do you say? 9 years?
6.
No, 9 years. We started talking about it. 7
Alright,
years
then.
is when we.
But then why you ask me?
Well, I need
Why
some
you ask?
confirmation.
Why you ask?
Oh, then, yo, you see,
Bro,
I have to be accurate.
See,
You see
anyway.
this shit we go through.
So, but he
Don't
did
ask me,
say
then
that,
tell me.
you know, before our kids were old enough. In this case,
Ethan and Bella.
Ethan, Bella, and Caitlin, because she did the
Oh, yeah.
voice
Yeah.
for
She had a
the-
little,
of
yeah.
Danny. And you know, a lot of this could have been done because of technology, right? And so
Sure.
I'm not saying we viejo, but
Praise
you know,
these kids.
not technically inept, but you know,
No, we don't.
they were at a little technically dumb sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
We street smart.
they
but
were
tech dumb.
with their help, they were able to bring a lot of this to fruition.
Yeah. And like I said, I give. Okay, so look, I'll say it right now. You know, we got Ed, me, Joey, Danny, right? And then that's the old heads. Well, excuse me, middle-aged heads. And then
Old head.
and I'll give credit. Let's give credit to the young folk, because again, they were a great help and still are great help. So, my son Ethan, you know, he's he's been helping out. Joey's daughter Bella, she's been a great help. You're a little older than them, but you know you've been a great help. And you know, then our niece Caitlin, you know, she got one little spot, but hey, she knocked it out the box.
Yeah.
You know, so we got a lot of people involved. you know, with family, and yes, you too, family.
Family.
And you know, we're just working on it together because we all want to share the story. We all want to, you know, put it out there and, you know,
Have a good time. Everybody.
have a good time with it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
yeah.
it's like a hangout. It's like a, you know,
Yes.
we chilling.
Like you on the block with us.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Granted,
yeah.
when I was in the blocks chilling, you probably went a stroller. You know,
Nah.
but you know.
Probably. But that's the beauty of this project, you know, and that's why that's why I want everybody out there to really dive into it, and you know, just it's just a show just to have a good time and just have a few laughs, and that's it, you know. Sometimes we don't have to be life is too serious enough to like not take a minute, you know, to sit down and just take a few laughs, you know, and just listen, you know, and just watch other people go through shit in a funny way, you know, and because we all go through shit every day, so why don't we just sit down and watch people, you know, just make fun out of it and have fun in it while they're doing it. And I think that's what the show is all about. And that's why everybody, you know, like one comment, one share, it's not gonna hurt you, you know. It's gonna help us. It's gonna help all of us. It's gonna help the community, you know. We want to outreach, you know, to different audiences. We want people to see what we're doing. We want people to hear about our stories as well, you know, because no matter the laughs, no matter like it's not too serious, right? But there's still a story in there. There's still a story that people feels identified to, right? And we talked about that, and that's the beauty of it. So please, if you're out there, go watch the episode right now on YouTube. Go on Instagram, LATOONOS. Leave us a comment. Share it with your neighbor. Share it with your friend. Share it with your mom. Share it with your grandmama. Like everybody's gonna feel identified with it, and at some point. And this is just the first episode, and we're working towards the second and the third, and we're so excited to keep bringing this story together. And I'm excited to keep, you know, developing more stories and more episodes with you guys. And I'm excited to see where this is going. Yeah, it'll keep changing. It'll keep evolving.
Evolving, yes.
Share with people that don't understand it, and then sit there and explain it to them. You know, and I'm gonna tell you this: like, I know when some of my friends now that are, you know, from different cultures and stuff like that, you know, like they come to me and they go, hey David, tell us about the time when you were young, or tell us about this, and oh, I was telling this guy about this and this and this, and they always want me to share my stories of growing up in the Bronx, you know. And
I love that.
You know, I'm not saying, you know, my stories are funnier, but what's funny was that hey, tell me about when you were young. They were like, nah, I got nothing. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but they enjoy my stories, you know. So they just enjoy the way we were brought up, the way we hung out, and they love the Hispanic culture, you know.
Yeah, it's about, you know, we know how to live, you know. We know how to party.
Right.
We know how to really live, and that's what life is all about, you know. We try to put life, you know, like copy and paste life into this LATOONOS project. You know, it's about life at the end of the day. So please go watch and support us. Like one share, one subscription, one follow. It's really gonna make a difference, you know. We wanna stay, you know. We wanna keep working. It's not easy to make a project like this, you know. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of, you know. So we're putting our hearts out there. We're putting our you know, our love for our culture and our community to really make this show happen. So yeah. So thank you guys for like being here today. Like, it's been amazing. We've had great conversations. I got to meet you guys a little bit more. Now I feel like you're my uncles. I'm just joking.
That's okay.
Está bien. I'm just joking. You're still my cousins. I still feel like we're cousins.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you guys for being here today, and thank you, Ethan, thank you, Bella, thank you, Ed, thank you everybody who's been really putting their hearts to this project. Like, it really means a lot. You know, what we're doing is it's something for fun, something like to change people's lives and to make you laugh and just for you to have a good time, you know.
Yeah.
I
It's a
think
good
it's really
hangout
needed
session.
today.
It's like I look forward to our meetings.
Yeah, exactly, and I love that.
I mean, some people sleep through them, but you know.
But you know what? They wake up after we start talking. So anything else you guys wanted to add about Latunos before we finish this conversation?
Nah, just enjoy it. Enjoy the stories, and I guarantee you, everybody's gonna relate to them. Because again, everybody got a Hector, everybody got a Flaco, everybody got a Papo, and again, if you don't got them, that's because you are them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, just enjoy the stories, and I guess reach out to us on Instagram and leave messages and stuff like that, and again, like Joey said, we'll answer you. We'll talk back. I got no problem. I love to talk, and I love the bonchinche. So if you got bonchinche, tell me, papi, that's what's up. You know what I mean?
Bochinche.
Who doesn't?
Yes. Who doesn't, right? Bochinche. We love bochinche in this room. Well, thank you guys. And again, everybody out there, thank you for listening to one more episode of Lights Camera Latino, the podcast. If you're not following us, why are you waiting? Go follow Lights Camera Latino, Angel Fabian Rivera, and follow LATOONOS in all the platforms that you can find us at. So you have no excuses. And I always like to end up the podcast with this phrase that says, when life knocks you down, levántate con más fuerza, keep fighting. Hasta la próxima. This was Lights Camera Latino, the podcast.